What's up, Taiwan? I'm Eric Gao, and you're watching TaiwanPlus. The world is now halfway to the 2030 target date for the UN's Sustainable Development Goals. While many countries have lost hope of achieving those goals, Taiwan is forging ahead. Sally Jensen was at an event in Taipei taking stock of countries' progress.
The Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, designed by the UN member states in 2015, they're a set of 17 goals aimed at improving health and education worldwide, reducing inequality, spurring economic growth, all while tackling climate change and preserving oceans and forests. And we're supposed to achieve them by 2030. Now, with 7 years left, the Taiwan Institute for Sustainable Energy has organized this day-long conference in Taipei, and it's invited representatives from the EU and Saudi Arabia to share the progress that has been achieved so far and the work that is left to do.
If you like to see the record for the last 7.5 years, actually only 15% of SDGs goals is achieved. Actually, not really so good. That's very important for most of the countries and the United Nations to rethink about how about the second term about the SDGs.
Now, even though it's not part of the UN, Taiwan has really thrown itself behind this concept of SDGs, and it hopes to show the world its contribution towards achieving them. But even the UN recently itself said that the world is woefully off track towards achieving the SDGs by 2030, and for many countries, the SDGs have all but fallen by the wayside. Nonetheless, if this day-long forum in Taipei is anything to go by, Taiwan's determination to stick to these goals, at least in theory, is very clear. John Su and Sally Jensen in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Meanwhile, Taiwan's Environment Ministry has added new rules to cut down on the country's carbon emissions. If large industrial emitters can meet reduction targets, they'll get lowered emission fees and earn carbon credits, and those can be sold on a carbon trading platform. The rules have incentives for individual citizens too. They can earn credits for trading in old vehicles or appliances for newer, cleaner models. These rules take effect next year, but environmental groups have already criticized the initiatives for being too business-friendly. In international news, Gaza's humanitarian crisis is worsening as Israel continues to bombard what it says are Hamas targets. The World Health Organization has warned that Gaza hospitals are at breaking point and that Palestinians risk starvation. Hamas leaders are asking for essential supplies to be let in, but Israel says it will not allow aid to Gaza until the over 100 hostages held by Hamas are released. The Israeli military is telling all Palestinians in northern Gaza to relocate within the next 24 hours, a sign that it could soon launch a ground invasion. But all routes out of the territory are closed, leaving people there with few places to go. Israel's prime minister says Hamas must be eradicated.
זוהי באמת מלחמה על הבית. והיא חייבת להסתיים בדבר אחד, בניצחון מוחלט. ובריסוק וחיסול החמאס, החמאס שהוא דאעש.
Taiwan's military is putting together a task force to learn from the war between Israel and Hamas. Defense Minister Worsens says the group will focus on intelligence gathering to learn about possible conflicts before they erupt. When asked whether Taiwan is able to call up as many reservists as Israel, Cho said the country's mobilization plans are still in place. The minister added that the new task force should be ready for war, but not go looking for it. A Chinese couple held in Taiwan for 4 years on charges of spying and money laundering are now free to leave the country. Chinese businessman Shang Xing and his wife Gong Qing were arrested in 2019 after being accused of spying for China. Their accuser, Wang Liqiang, made the allegations on Australian television, claiming that he had been given instructions by Shang to influence Taiwan's elections. But Australian intelligence later rejected Wang's claims as not credible, while Taiwanese investigators eventually dropped the charges due to a lack of evidence. However, Shang and his wife were prosecuted for money laundering. Now, after 2 not guilty verdicts, the couple are finally free.
检察官共谍案办不了，就会开始去追查向心等人背后接资金的来源，又在追到了香港这边，向心出售股票的这个行为啊，与孙天群等人出售并没有一致的关系，客观上看不出来两个人是为了勾结而有所谓洗钱洗白的这个行为，因此全案在没有客观十足的证据状况下，以有利被告为原则啊，向心等人获判无罪。
LGBTQ-friendly organizations just launched a guide for Taiwanese voters to better understand the gender policies of both presidential and legislative candidates. Tiffany Wong takes a look at LGBTQ advocates' fight for legal protections over the years.
友善政治进国会，彩虹选民站出来。
Holding lawmakers accountable. These LGBTQ activists are pushing for Taiwan's public officials to speak out on gender issues. And they've launched a voter guide called Pride Watch for the upcoming national and local elections.
对于整个社会来说，可以有对性别友善的政治人物，还有对政治议题关注的民众，其实是一件非常重要的事情。
The activists invited all presidential, legislative, and local candidates in Taiwan to sign a statement of support for LGBTQ rights on the online platform. Voters can use the platform to search for candidates' voting records. The website also encourages members of the LGBTQ community to register to vote.
Taiwan is known as a safe haven for LGBTQ people. In 2019, the country became the first in Asia to legalize same-sex marriage. But activists here say they need to continuously hold politicians to account to protect their rights.
Despite same-sex marriage being legalized, public opinion at the time was mixed. LGBTQ rights activists say disinformation about the community contributes to their continuing battle for equal rights, and the spread of false information is worse during an election campaign.
There's quite a lot of disinformation regarding human rights, LGBT rights. Based on our observation, we noticed there's around 40% increasing right before the election, no matter that is local election or presidential election. Even if that is local election, you can see LGBTQ rights can be effective impact, negative impact among the election.
With just 3 months left before Taiwan's general elections, no candidates have come out with strong stances on LGBTQ issues. But the voters are watching, and Pride Watch aims to continue speaking out for equality even when politicians don't. Justin Wu, Rick Glowert, and Tiffany Wong in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
New security measures are set to be introduced to protect information given to lawmakers. That's after a suspected data breach leaked information about Taiwan's domestically made submarine. All participants in closed-door legislative meetings would be barred from bringing in mobile phones and other communication equipment. Attendees would also have to go through a security scan and sign a confidentiality agreement before each session. 2 workers were killed while tearing down a shuttered chemical plant in the northern city of Taoyuan. The 2 men were working in an industrial furnace when debris fell on them. Taoyuan's Labor Department has ordered work to be suspended while it investigates. The plant belonged to Chemours, a spin-off of U.S. chemical company DuPont. Over 250 workers were laid off when it closed in August. Taiwan's indigenous peoples are a part of the Austronesian community, and anthropologists say many Austronesian nations originated here. The indigenous Amis people are hosting a music festival to renew these cultural ties.
Giving greetings to very distant relatives. Talaulio from Tahiti performs a dance from his home to audiences in Taiwan. Tahitians are an Austronesian people, and many of those groups originated in Taiwan long ago. This is part of the focus of the Amis Music Festival. The event originally celebrated Taiwan's indigenous cultures, but its mission has evolved to bridging communities across Austronesia. This dance group, Tinatilaa, is led by an indigenous Sidik dancer from Taiwan. Gumu Walis fell in love with Tahitian dance, and she now works with her Tahitian husband to share this culture with Taiwan. And this music festival is the ideal place to do it.
都是南岛语族，或者是都身为是不同地方的原住民，好像这种连结跟团结在一起的那个，一起互相帮忙去推广自己的文化的这一件事情，我觉得是很棒的一件事。
It makes me feel more closer maybe our ancestors are related, and also I see that I can see with the tattoo, with the language also, so there's like the same words, and so I feel that I'm very comfortable actually here.
The Tinatila art troupe are not the only international guests at the event. Fishers from Indonesia are also here to share their stories. They are here to talk about their campaign to have Wi-Fi access on the distant water fishing boats. The festival's organizers say when most people in Taiwan speak of Austronesian communities, they think of Pacific Islanders. But the closest group to home is actually the 250,000 Indonesians living in Taiwan. That number is fairly close to half of Taiwan's total indigenous population. Also advocating for the rights of foreign workers is Southern Riot, a band formed by Indonesian migrant workers in Taiwan. They are known for writing songs with labor rights themes. The band says this is the biggest stage they've ever performed on, with the most enthusiastic audience.
Kami sangat senang dan kami sangat bangga. Kami sebagai warga negara Indonesia dan sebagai pekerja migran di Taiwan merasa sangat bangga dan spesial bisa dipersembahkan untuk tampil di Amis Music Festival. Terima kasih banyak.
Many performers and audience members alike come to the festival to show pride in their Austronesian identity. They also come with an open mind to learn to better understand each other and make genuine connections. Kamashi, Simonetta Ho, and Yu Jinghua for TaiwanPlus.
More and more fossils are being found here in Taiwan. Now the government is trying to catch up with laws to protect and preserve these discoveries. Bing Wang has more.
On a dig in southern Taiwan's Pingtung County, amateur fossil hunters discover an ancient whale relic from 260,000 years ago. It's the most complete fossil found in Taiwan to date, and not the last one expected to be discovered here. Taiwan has a rich fossil record, and this spot, previously underwater, is prime for fossilized marine life.
这边是有一个岩层的交界处，那这个比较深色的就是泥岩，它是过去在海洋里面的，所以我们再持续的挖下去，看有没有机会再发现更多鲸鱼相关的锥体，还有脊椎，还有相关的骨骼化石。
But with the recent excavation of the whale, many institutional issues here also have come to light. Taiwan has few paleontologists, and not many students are signing up for field courses to join the profession. This leaves few people with the skills to excavate fossils properly. Taiwan also lacks specific fossil laws. There are few rules to govern the handling or collecting of specimens. Important fossils have been extracted without the knowledge of the government, leaving them lost and unable to be studied. To try and keep track of the extractions, officials are working with scientists to draft a new law. Properly documented specimens can then be studied and displayed in museums. Currently, Taiwan's only fossil museum is in the southern city of Tainan.
我们去让民众可以完整的认识从地质到化石，重点是我们试图去重建在过去40万年前或者更久以前，在新化丘陵这个地方。 的一个生态系的样貌。
As they wait for new legislation, Taiwan's paleontologists are training the next generation, hoping that soon more museums can be established across the country and foster a desire for further learning. Joseph Wu and Bing Wang for TaiwanPlus.
Thanks for joining us today here on What's Up Taiwan. I'm Eric Gao, and I'll see you later.